Say hello, Charlie. You're still alive.
Yeah, still alive. Made it through Hurricane Florence. I'm glad it wasn't as bad as they thought it was going to be, but I mean, we did a lot of work and it didn't need to be done. But anyway, it's rather safe than sorry. Did get a lot of rain, like 32 inches, kind of flooded out my job out here at Harbor Freight. First time Chris has been down here in what, since I bought the 320.
2.5 years.
Yeah, 2.5
Other than
years.
my random trip down here.
We
2 weeks
changed a little bit of what we're doing. Now we changed from just dirt daubing and galming around and clearing land. Now we do
sophisticated
GPS fine grade. And we got a little bit of different equipment than what we used to have. We spent a little bit, everybody always told me, oh, you got to spend some money.
Well, you've succeeded lately.
Yeah, no, I don't even know how much I owe. I really don't. I don't think I want to. But I know I pay $10,000 a month in payments, so my poor little pea-brain tells me that I'm $100,000 less in debt at the end of the year than I am at the beginning.
So you got to make $10,001 a month to make profit?
That's exactly
okay.
Right. And everybody says, wait a minute, Charlie, your math is wrong. You'd be $120,000 less in debt. Well, there's something called interest. So, I don't know how much that is either, so I just say 100. I know it's at least 100 less in debt than I am.
It's just a number.
That's right.
So what exactly, because I am clueless, never been around any of this, what exactly are we doing?
What we're doing right now, this is what they call a GPS base station. And
okay.
What this does, this is on a known point here. And then there's some control points that you have a surveyor set around the job. Okay. And you come in here and you set up this, and this is a high-powered radio, like a 35-watt radio, so that I can get out. This is a big, huge site, 2.8 million square feet. And I want to be able to get radio reception and GPS on the other side of the job. So I put this extra radio on here that comes, and it'll kill this battery in a day. I mean, it absolutely will. And I mean, it's got a lot of power. You can take a fluorescent light tube and drive by this radio and it'll light up. No,
oh, wow.
It won't really do that, but I mean, it does have a lot of power. It'll walk all over security systems and VHF radios and stuff like this. My frequency is 460, 450,000, 25 spacing. And which that doesn't mean anything to anybody, but anybody that knows anything about radios knows that. And I can change it. There's about 30 different channels that I can use. There it's on, radio's on. So anyway, we're gonna go down here and look at the new to me, John Deere 872D.
Tier 0.
Tier 0 emissions. 2008, before they started with DPF.
All right.
That kind of stuff, and it's got the 8.1 liter John Deere PowerTech engine in it, and I like it. It's 6-wheel drive, and it'll push some rock now. Weighs 50,000 pounds, got rippers on it. But anyway,
let's go check it out.
Up, so we're gonna go check that out.
What are we doing now, Charlie?
Well, this is what takes straight GPS and turns it into millimeter GPS. Here's a known control point right here. This is a 2-meter tripod, and this is PZL1. What this does is sends out a laser beam spectrum. And GPS is very accurate to within 100th northerly, easterly. But usually elevation is anywhere from 4 to 800ths, which would be a ½ an inch to an inch. This right here tightens that up. This takes it and gives me the capability to grade within the outside of my grade is 1/4 inch high, 1/4 inch low. But if I take my time, I can do 1/8 of an inch, which would be 100th. And these is what does it for Topcon. Trimble uses a robot system, which is 1 robot per machine or per rover. These will run, you can run 10 machines off a millimeter setup of Topcon. And it's got about they say an 800-foot range, but it's really, I found it to be accurate about 500 foot. So I have a control point every 500 foot down through here, and I'll set up 2 or 3 of them in a row, and the machine will switch from one to the other to keep the grades tight. But you set up the base first, and then you set up the PZL1, and then you get in the Tier 0 Deere grader, and you tell it where this is, and then it tightens up your grades. So let's go to the grader and check.
So what do you think of your new...
Well, everybody knows I've always been a Caterpillar person.
That clearly does not say Caterpillar behind you.
No, I know. I was working at the Dillon Inland Port project, and I had my Caterpillar grader out there, and there was 2 graders, this one and another one, 2 sisters that were bought in 2008 by William Charles Construction, which is Ragnar Benson out of Illinois. And one night I was, they called me and they needed me to come out there and grade the road where the cement trucks were coming around. And my grader, I was having some line boring done to tighten up the blade so that I could millimeter grade on the cat. And they said, well, our Deere's out there, just run it. Whatever. And after about 30 minutes, I decided that I really like this grader. And I made mention the next day, and I said, well, we're going to sell both of them machines when the job's over. And I said, well, I'd like to have one of them, so this is the one that I bought, because it already had the same GPS that I run on it. So it was, I mean, same frequency, same everything, so it just kind of made sense. And I figure I either bought the grader and got the GPS for free, or I paid half price for the grader and half price for the used GPS. Because GPS is one of them kind of things, as soon as you take delivery of it, it's worth about 50% of what you just paid for it.
Just like that.
That's what I told him at the bank. I said, all right now. I says, if I default on this loan, you're going to get a cardboard box full of yellow boxes and displays and wires, and that's what you're going to get. Now, they said they weren't worried about me, but sometimes I worry about me. I guess you dropped a chip here.
Oh, it must have fell out of my... Yep, I'll put that in my pocket.
Anyway, what we got going on here is this grader capable of doing a couple of different things. This is called a sonic tracer right here. And what I can do, there's one on either side of the blade. I can run next to a curb or existing concrete, and this will hold a grade within 1/8 of an inch. And I can run however far below a curb that I want to run, or existing concrete or whatever. And I can tell this machine to trace the curb. They call this a sonic tracer. Trace the curb on this side, and then use GPS to pull out cross slope or pull elevation off the other side. And what that'll do, when people pour curb, unless they do it GPS or millimeter GPS, curb is usually not that accurate. It's usually 1.5 inches. I mean, you're going to find very few sections of curb that are right on grade.
Perfect.
So it's really hard to GPS grade next to curb, because it's not going to match. So you need to be able to sonic track it from either side and then set a cross slope off of GPS or whatever. But anyway, nice grader, 50,000 pounds, rippers, 8.1 liter PowerTech motor, 6-wheel drive, hydraulic front axle drive, which really doesn't sound like a lot, but really makes a difference.
It's a lot bigger than I thought it was.
Really pulls well. Hold on, let me just check the wall, make sure it hasn't worked out.
I don't see a puddle, so first sign it's going to be good.
Just making sure. You never know.
You never know.
Might have made some enemies over the years.
Hey, pre-trip inspection, right?
Yeah, that's what they call it, I guess.
If that's what they call it.
Oh, I left the GPS on yesterday. It's been here running all night long.
Has it?
Oh yeah.
Hey, that's a movable step as I'm swinging.
Yeah, no, it's rubber. But what we got going on here?
Let me get up here.
Come on up in here.
Something solid.
This is the grader, and this is the job. This shows me my whole job, all my control points, everything right here. I can move it around and zoom in on it wherever I want.
Oh wow.
Show you the whole thing, all my control points, where my grader's sitting. And this is a cross section. This shows me where my blade is compared to what the ground is, so that I can see, you know, if there's a crown in it, or if there's a transition or whatever. See, there's my grader sitting, showing us where we're at right here.
Okay.
And shows us right over that manhole that's right underneath us here. You know, I can tell it to best fit whole blade, so it grades off the best fit of the whole blade. Or if I'm working a transition, or I'm working along the edge of something, I'll tell it to you know, pick off a single point, and I can, wherever I want on the blade, it'll pick off of it. I can also tell it 2D or 3D, It's on cross slope and elevation 3D, which would be straight GPS. And I can tell it to do slope off of GPS and elevation off of a sonic tracker right there. And what it'll do, I'll tell it to survey. Say I wanted 4 inches off there, right there, but I wanted to hold a cross slope. I hit this right here and I tell it to survey. And what that does is it puts that grade right on over there. You can see it. And I say, okay. Now I turn on the automatics and it'll hold the cross slope and it'll grade off that concrete.
Yeah.
And if I push it down, yeah, it'll come back up. If I pick it up, it'll go back down. And it'll hold it right, and I can do that off either side and GPS.
As you're driving, it'll just automatically hold it at that grade.
Right. And that's where if you're meeting a piece of existing concrete, or if you're following a curb or whatever. And I can even trace the string line for a curb machine. They'll put up their string line, I can trace that string and I can grade for the curb machine. I mean, it's pretty sophisticated. We went from, you know, using a set of plans to now everything we use is on these chips. You know, the whole job's on the thumb drive. Cross slope elevation 3D. Now that's straight 3D right there, GPS. And then, okay, I've just set that millimeter up on that control, so I'm going to say transmitters, channel 1, 628, and I'm going to tell it it's over 801.708. And I believe I turned it on. It should be picking it up. Back behind us right there.
And then you're ready to go grade.
I'm ready to go grade.
Well, I'll hop off and let you back over there.
All right.
Tier 0.
Yeah.
Hey, let's face it, that's the only reason you bought it.
That's it, because it would flat. Also, automatic transmission, don't have to worry about what gear you put it in, just rack it back.
That's Charlie wide open. Say their stone was slightly high.
It would take, and I know there's a lot of people out there, they talk about GPS takes the operator out of the seat and all that kind of stuff, but it's not about that. It's about that it would take a crew of surveyors setting hubs and 3 graders to keep up with me, and grade checkers, and I mean, when I say grader operators, I mean good grader operators trying to blue top, and still not be able to give as accurate grades as fast. I like to say I can bid a site job at $100,000 and a conventional contractor can bid it at $200,000, and when he's out there jerking around with 3-man string line and milk jug lids, I'll have my check and be gone to the bank. And it's about speed. It's about all these schedules on these jobs are all set to be done with GPS. The grades are set to be done with GPS, and you just can't compete conventional. Now, you still have to be an operator, and I'm gonna back up and show you why. There's a transition in here, 7.5 foot. And so what you have to do is you have to run this transition. And what you do is you say, okay, I'm going to control off of one place on the blade, pick it over here. Alright, let me find the transition. Right there. Following them lines right there, you put the blade down. Turn it on now. I'm grading the 7.5 foot transition off of the right side of my blade. Following the line work right here. Now I'm going to back up, then I'm going to take the rest of the transition. I'm going to switch it back to best fit whole blade. Best fit whole blade, and I'm going to catch the top part of that transition right there, and I'm going to wipe it out. And I've had problems on this job. I get out here and grade, and then somebody comes behind me with a skid steer, and I'm like, what are you doing? So, well, you left a hump out there, I'm gonna go ahead and wipe it out. I'm like, no, I didn't leave a hump. That's the transition between the light and the heavy duty, and just wiped it out. Because they don't understand, and they tell me, well, you know, I fine grade for this stuff. Do you use auto grade? No, I fine grade about the seat of my pants. Okay, well, you know, your grades, there's no way they can be as accurate as what I put in here. I mean, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to be able to do this. And, you know, your butt bubble just ain't going to do it. I mean, not if you want it accurate. I mean, I like to give 0% concrete yields or a -1 or whatever the specs will allow. And you can't do that if you can't grade accurately. But anyway, that's what I do now. We got away from the ditching and the land clearing and the stuff like that. We've got into what they call millimeter fine grade for concrete companies. And you know, I like to say I've bumbled through life like an idiot for the past 25 years making money by pure ass accident. And that's pretty much what it is. I mean, I've been very fortunate. I don't have to hunt work hunts me. But you always got to do it. If that is your case, you've always got to do things that nobody else wants to do. I mean, that's just how it is. If you want to run with the flow and do what everybody does, you got 20 people bidding against you. If you want to do something that's a little bit different, you won't have that. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see or not, but I mean, it's pretty accurate grading. The blade always matches up with